Hi everybody, welcome to Train Forever. I'm Andrew Barr, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most underutilized, underappreciated exercises out there, the goblet squat. The goblet squat has three main benefits, and today we're going to look at each of those in detail to help you to decide if and when the goblet squat belongs in your program. Very quickly, to get everybody on the same page, let's look at what a goblet squat is. The goblet squat is, of course, a squat, and it's one where you hold a kettlebell or dumbbell vertically right up against your sternum, and you complete a normal squatting motion. The name comes from the position of the hands, which, as you can see, form a goblet shape. I'm going to be focused specifically on the benefits of the goblet variation of the squat. This is not the same as the benefits of squatting. Any squat is going to develop lower body strength, and squats are an important movement that should be in your program unless there's a reason not to. The benefits of squatting are not up for debate. Perhaps the greatest benefit of the goblet squat is its value as a teaching tool. Simply put, it is the best way to help a beginner learn and get comfortable with the squatting movement. Believe it or not, a goblet squat is actually easier than a bodyweight squat most of the time, particularly for beginners. Beginners have a tendency to lose their balance and fall towards the back when they first start learning bodyweight squats. The weight in a goblet squat provides a useful counterbalance to help the lifter stay solid on their feet. Yes, there's additional load, but in my experience, even untrained senior adults are able to do at least a few reps holding a 10 or even a 20-pound dumbbell on their very first workout session. Remember that a bodyweight squat, you're not squatting nothing, you're squatting your body weight. So that 10 or 20-pound dumbbell is actually a fairly small percentage increase in load for most people. Since the weight is well tolerated and helps new lifters feel solid on their feet and get used to moving under load, the goblet squat is the best choice to get a beginner started with squatting. Once the pattern is in place and you have some confidence in the movement, it's quite easy to progress the weight. Many of my clients will go from 10 pounds in their first session to 50 or 60 pounds in just a couple of weeks. I like to push things as far as possible with the goblet squat before progressing to barbell variation. Barbell squats are great, but they are more technically complex and they involve more load through the spine and the body, which is not inherently bad, but it is something that we need to be aware of and manage. How far exactly you should push things with the goblet variation before moving to a barbell depends on the person. If there's no reason not to, I like to set a target of 100 pounds for 10 reps with the goblet squat before we look at barbell squats. However, for many people, such as a smaller person or somebody with a possible wrist or forearm issue, holding a dumbbell that big might not be possible. But the general principle of pushing things as far as is reasonably possible with the goblet squat still applies. If you're finding this content useful and informative, go ahead and hit that like button and make sure you subscribe so you never miss another training tip. I'll be putting out a new video each week to help you get the most out of your training sessions. Thanks so much. I really appreciate your support. So we've established that goblet squats can be very useful for teaching a beginner how to get started on their squatting journey. But what about more advanced lifters? Well, one example of how a more advanced lifter might use a goblet squat is as a regression. Let's take the example of somebody who's very highly trained and fully proficient in all barbell variations of the squat. Well, let's say this person gets injured, whether it's in the weight room or out of it. They might not be able to squat for a while, but need to do a gradual return to squatting. The goblet squat can provide a useful step on a rehabilitation journey, helping that person go from rest to lighter stages of rehab to eventually returning to hopefully their pre-injury form. Another way that a goblet squat can be useful for a more advanced lifter is by providing more squatting volume with minimal additional systemic load. If we're considering a more advanced lifter, whether they're a bodybuilder or a power lifter or really just anybody doing a heavy lower body training session, they might have built their training day around squats. So after a thorough warm-up and some ramp-up sets, maybe they're doing a few heavy sets, say 5 sets of 5 barbell back squats. That would be a pretty standard protocol for your main lift of the day. What are you going to do next? You're going to do some accessory lifts. And whether that's good mornings or lunges or step-ups or leg curls or anything else, you're going to have some accessory movements that you do to round out your program. In that example, the goblet squat can be a great choice for some additional lower body volume. A few sets of 10 to 20 reps after some other more intense lower body work is a great way to drive further adaptation in the lower body and to get more practice in the movement in a way that's still fairly low intensity and more transferable to sport or other athletic tasks than some other movements you might choose for your accessory work. It is certainly worth considering as an accessory lift on a lower body focus session, at least at some points throughout the year. I hope you thought today's video was useful, and if you did, please give me a like and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss another training tip. I'll be putting out a new video each week to help you get the most out of your training sessions. If you head to the description, you can find my free guide to core strength and my two 12-week training programs made specifically for beginners, one that can be done in the gym and one that can be done at home. You can also find information about my online coaching too. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.